Hey, so we got our first 3 episodes of season 3 of The Boys, and we have a lot to talk about. This is crazy. I mean, we haven't been in this world in a little bit, and it's cool that we got like all of this stuff now in the world of The Boys. How did you guys
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
about it?
I think we should start off with the way everything began, right? Because
Yeah.
it seemed like the way, like, as far as where our people are now is a different position, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Huey's part of the Vosh stuff that are supposed to take care of all the,
Well, he was part of
ramifications.
like the government um part where they're trying to like take control of the amount of soups that are kind of going crazy. So
Yeah, exactly.
he's in like the FBI type government
Yeah,
arena.
that we got that. We also got, Billy secretly trying to stop them in that beginning beautiful scene with, them going, that little small thing goes inside someone's penis and kills someone. That was
I
a
wouldn't
very
call it beautiful.
it's
That was-
It was my
artistically
favorite scene.
it was an artistical it was a very artistical way of like, this is The Boys and this is going to be a different kind of series.
I mean, it
we love
definitely
body
was.
horror on the boys.
It definitely was The Boys.
Definitely
Okay.
Boys there.
But the
We all
interesting thing about that is that yeah, you're right. It very narratively served a function of creating a reason to explain where each of the characters are at this point.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit because we got the first 3 episodes, right, all in one night.
yeah.
It kind of reminded me of Arcane in the way it was like in these 3 episodes, they kind of established what they needed to establish to create tension for the rest of the season. It was almost like bookends to me, where in the first episode, everyone's like in a really good place. And then in third episode, it's like things have never been worse on the boys. Like things are pretty bad right now and they're just shaping up to get worse. I guess you said that's like a negative character arc is like what's happening. That's what you call it, right? Shuku?
Yeah.
Like someone who just goes bad. I feel like we saw almost every character go through a little bit of a negative character arc, and that creates a lot of tension and anxiety for the watchers, I think, which is I think they meant to do that, and they pulled it
Well,
off.
in exception to Kimiko, I feel like she doesn't really have a
Yeah,
negative
I was about to say
character
all the
arc.
women are perfect, so
Well, I don't know.
Starlight's protector.
I feel like Starlight at the last episodes, her about to go through a hell now that, Homelander.
Yeah,
I guess
I mean-
spoiler alert, since we're gonna spoil it. Now that he's claiming to be claiming to have her as his girl. So
Yeah, I mean it's all stuff that is kind of out of her control, which sucks. So we'll see. She might go through a negative character arc too, you know what? And I would like to see that because she's a little too perfect, and I love her too much. Like, yeah.
yeah,
We'll see.
that's fair. That's fair. But with characters going to a negative character arc, I like that we're starting it off. Let's talk about with Billy. Now that Billy's starting to play with powers, which is very interesting with his character. How do you guys feel about him? Be like using soup stuff to.
It's diabolical.
The interesting thing about that whole sequence of like him wrestling with whether or not he should use the temp V, I thought that it was. I think that the show is doing such a good job of having us empathize with all of these characters. So like, I don't even know if calling it a negative character arc for Billy is the right way of putting it, because at first, before he tries the temp V, he was watching Ryan's video and he was like, oh, Huey has the right idea. Like you could see that the cogs in his mind working, like, oh man, maybe it is right that we should like, try to do this above board, that there's something to live for, that there's like happiness to have. But then at the same moment, Huey calls and is like, we've all been like duped. I was essentially working for Vought this whole time, even though we were trying to do it the right way.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, your way is the way we
Yeah.
should do it. It's like they tried to do the above the board, working by the law for this last year. And then all this time, the game has been rigged from the start. It's like, how do you effectively fight a villain that is so powerful that they have their tentacles in every aspect of anything that can be legitimate? Yeah.
Tentacles, really? No pun
Timothy.
intended. No pun intended there.
Rest in peace, Timothy.
And all his arms.
Oh man, but I thought that
yeah.
was a great like conflict to have for Billy. So having him get that close to feeling like Huey has the right idea to then all of a sudden be like, nah, we gotta, laser people's faces in half. That's
It's like this
yeah, that's a
negative synergy because I guess we're seeing a lot of parallels with the different stories between all the people where it's like bringing everyone down because of like not one or two specific people, but a whole system that's kind of like oppressing everyone in different ways, right? Like, you know, kind of right now they're framing Vought to be like the overall bad guy, and like how can you fight against like a whole organization? And like the same thing now where like, A Train's kind of touching on like trying to be more part of the community. It's kind of like paralleling stuff like that, and it kind of ties back to like and Soldier Boy too, where it's like what they're fighting is bigger than Soups or people alone,
Right. Yeah, I definitely love that. Going with the VOD thing, I love that line that Stan says to my God, now I'm forgetting her name.
Mallory?
Starlight.
Oh, Starlight.
Yeah, Starlight's
Yeah.
character, where he talks about power and how like, power is not about like, having this ability, but it's more about making sure your will gets pushed, right? And that's kind of the idea of
yeah.
like what is really
Not about this.
control. So that's a very interesting aspect. And funny enough about that is later on we see that Homelander becomes more unhinged. So it's almost like you think he has control of Homelander, but now it's like things are changing. And
Man, Homelander is he's the best villain on TV right now.
exactly, he's like Joffrey, but with powers. That's what he
Like,
reminds me of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one is doing it like Anthony Starr. Like he's an actual
it's
scene
so
stealer.
good.
It
If I
is.
was on The Boys, I would be so jealous of it. Like no one even comes close to having as much fun as he does. Not even Butcher, I think.
Yes, I totally agree. And what I love about him, especially with that scene at the end of episode 2 where he just says, "You know what? I'm tired of being controlled. I'm really what you guys need, and if you don't see it, you guys are dumb and you guys can be controlled too." And it's very interesting that he brings that up because one thing that I noticed, and I actually seen an interview with Eric Kripke, is that Eric Kripke has a philosophy that you can actually see within the show, which is the idea that you should never trust authority, and the only people you should care about is the people around you. And you see
Yeah.
this a lot with every of his characters, like Supernatural. They're always against, oh, we don't trust these angels, blah blah blah. They're
And
devils,
like
whatever.
codependent brothers.
Exactly. Or even that one show that got canceled called The Revolution, where the lights go off and then people
Oh,
are
yeah.
still kind of like, oh, we shouldn't trust the authority people. And you see that in the show where
What a
the people
deep
in
cut.
power, it's like everybody, it's this idea that you can only care about people around you. Those are the only people you should trust, and everyone else, it's like they're all for themselves.
Yeah,
So,
you're fighting for the man next to you, as it were, as they say in all the military fighting war movies. Yeah, you bring up a good point. I think Eric Kripke does have an overarching like philosophy that shines through it all. But yeah, bringing it back to that whole speech that Homelander did just brings me back to like one scene that I loved in the first 3 episodes is when he just sits down with Butcher. I love that monologue of him just saying like, "This is like we're
Oh,
getting neutered." Like
That was one of the best. That was one of my
yes,
favorite scenes.
we're getting neutered. Why don't just we take the gloves off and
Yeah.
like just run each
duke it
other into the
out.
ground like we want.
One man left
I
standing.
love that monologue. It gave me the intro to Inglorious Bastards vibes, which is like one of my it's my favorite Tarantino movie. He gave me Hans Landa vibes with that whole speech because the whole time it like you think like he could just kill Butcher right now.
I
And
know.
that's the feeling every time Homelander is on screen. I'm like,
I know.
he could just kill these guys. Like what's holding
know.
him back? And it's like no other character ever has made me feel just pure tension from just seeing them on the screen. And I don't know, like it sometimes I worry like, okay, it's like we're 3 seasons in now, like how much worse can Homelander get? Like I don't want this to end. Like it's so great. Like how far can they
Yeah.
push this? Because it's already pretty far.
It's crazy.
But that just shows that like after 3 seasons, still pretty fresh. And hopefully it stays that way for the rest of the season.
Yeah, about that scene, do you think that was actually Homelander there? Because the way he like disappeared didn't seem like. I mean, I don't know.
I
I've
think
never
it
seen
was.
Homeland disappear like
maybe
quick.
because
I've never.
Butcher's sanity is slipping. That's true.
Ooh, I don't think so, but that is an interesting possibility.
Yeah,
That is an interesting. I think he was really there. I think that they kind
me
of
too.
just
I
did
mean, I
that
hope so.
for dramatic effect, but that is possible.
And then let's also not forget about Soldier Boy, which it's funny because I expected Soldier Boy to appear a little bit more early on, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with them building up. I just feel like everything they're giving us, like I like that they're kind of building up, and I didn't know what's his name, I think that's his nickname.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Has a
That is
history
no.
with Soldier Boy, so that's a
yeah.
very interesting thing that they touch in.
Oh man, they're gonna make us hate Soldier Boy too. It's gonna be great.
They
Two
might make us
characters
hate him.
to
They
hate.
might make us love him. Like that's the thing about these shows. It's like they even with Homelander, there's still like moments of empathy that you feel for
You
him.
understand where he's coming from.
You understand, like when he's talking about how he doesn't even have a birthday, like even
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
can feel like there's pain behind him. Like he still has these human emotions, even though he's like this, absolute monster. And like in that moment, like I knew that that girl was dead as soon as he started
Yeah,
like
we all
revealing all
did.
of these things to her. But yeah, those moments, it gives you those moments for each of these characters. So even though like Soldier Boy is probably being set up to be this, egomaniac, very much similar to Homelander type of character, it's possible that they could have him be somebody who we end up rooting for, in the end.
Yeah. I think also this season is really funny. Like they've always all the seasons have been funny, but they kind of really pulled out all the stops with all the great like hero movies, hero specials,
Oh
the Deep's
yeah.
book, the Deep's Lifetime movie. And then you have all these references to like 4chan and like all these
Yeah.
fringe groups and like weird stuff that's
They had the release the Snyder cut meme.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
exactly. It's
yeah,
hilarious.
stuff is so timely. Like for right now, it's perfect. Maybe it'll age, but for right now, it couldn't have more perfect timing because they're like bringing up all these like weird polarizing groups and like, oh, like you're losing points with like, this group, but like all the fringe white guys in the Rust Belt, like they love you. And that's like just, it's like very on the nose. It's like almost too real sometimes, but I love it that they're like kind of, it's through a lens of like comedy and irony and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, we're watching the world burn on this show, but it's entertaining at least.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we kinda have a laugh about it.
Yeah, to go on that point, a good example would be like the whole hero contest where it's like who's going to be the next Vosh team American hero,
Yeah.
right? And what I love about that is I love how the parallel with Starlight's mom, where it's like she's one
Yeah.
of those moms where it's like, oh, I'm trying to get a child
Yeah.
actor,
A
and
real
you can
Kris
see,
Kardashian.
yeah, like that kind of like I love how
Momager.
you play that and you see how that affects her. And I don't know, I just love the parallels in that in episode 3 where we see her as a little kid hold her fist while she's trying to maintain her control, and then we see it again with Homelander where it's like because she's on camera, it's like she can't express herself, and it's just
Yeah.
it's just such a good, I don't know. There's just so much good storytelling to it in general. Like even when I was watching these episodes, I had to watch like all of them together. It was like, oh, I couldn't. It was like, what's happening next? It's just,
Yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I like how they too kind of like touch on like some history, like they're tying in like Reagan and Contras in the 80s with like all the
Yeah.
stories with Soldier Boy. I'm like, dude, this is like an
Yeah.
actual history lesson. Like some people like may think this is fiction, but like it's actually like more real than you think, which is kind of very like tongue-in-cheek, like Kripkeism, I feel. And then like on the other hand, you have like modern heroism, which is like all bullshit. Like it's more tied to entertainment and marketing, which like everyone in that industry knows like what they're doing is also BS. So it's just kind of funny that like heroes have never been legitimized ever. Like it's all BS, and like they really like leaned into it this season. I feel like have we
Yeah.
seen any hero do a good thing ever? It's just kind of interesting like that everyone is so awful this season
yeah.
and every hero is like really incompetent. But it's still fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious before we end this off, what do you guys think about the relationship with Butcher and dang, I
Ryan.
forgot. Yeah, the kid. Like I think that was
Yeah.
a very interesting thing, especially considering last season he seemed like he wanted to kill the kid. So
I think he clearly has like genuine feelings of love for Ryan. I definitely feel like he wants to do everything he can to protect him, and it's because of his love for Becca that he has love for Ryan. And so it kind of just makes it more tragic with the ending of episode 3, where he has this realization or understanding that he can't have this kind of connection with Ryan. He has to push him away in order to do what he feels needs to be done to protect him against Homelander. Yeah, because like it was his connection to Ryan that kind of made him feel, like we mentioned earlier, it made him feel like what Huey was trying to do was the right thing to do. And then once all that falls apart, it's like, okay, I kind of have to go all in, and we have to do whatever it takes to take down Homelander and the rest of them. So
everyone is the hero in their own story, and that kind of circles back to that scene with Homelander and Butcher, because I mean they're sitting right across from each other, parallel, and it's drawing the parallels between them literally with Homelander's whole monologue, and it's like, whoa, they really aren't as different as they think they are. They're like very similar, and you know, then we see like, you know, again Butcher like decline back into just sadism and just like killing, you know, bullet guy or whatever. Like gunpowder.
Gunpowder, that's his name. Gunpowder. Yeah.
So yeah, it I don't know, it's definitely gut wrenching to see like these characters that we kind of like care about descend into this madness and despair. And I definitely felt pretty bad too when he had to go off on Ryan like that. But you know, it's no holds barred now is what he's going after with what after Huey said. Essentially.
I want to just circle back a second to like that conversation with Homelander and Butcher. Butcher is pretty much the only person who is like openly defiant against Homelander, and who is aware of how diabolical, just how like deranged Homelander is. Like everyone else around Homelander, even with Stan Edgar, and I kind of want to touch on Stan Edgar as well, but none of them really has a full understanding of how just deranged he is, but and is as defiant as Butcher is. Like anybody who like really knows still is like afraid. Like Starlight, she knows, but she still has this fear of confrontation. Like she's afraid of Homelander. But like Butcher is the only one who knows how deranged he is, and it's like, nah, I'm like, when are we gonna do this? Let's do this. It's like,
I agree. I feel like he's always kind of been like that, but I think more recently it's almost like it's more like he's looking into a mirror. Like I said, like they're super parallel. But also at this point, like, does Butcher really have a lot to live for except for exacting his personal revenge? Like it's either you're gonna end me or you're not. Like, you know, he's not trying to sugarcoat things. It's like you're gonna go at it or not. And you know, in that situation, he really can't do anything against Homelander. He even said so himself, you know. So it's like, you know, but yeah, that just kind of points back to how aware he is of, you know, that whole situation. So yeah.
And then I want to talk about Stan Edgar. Because Giancarlo Esposito's character, he was introduced in season 2, and I was really excited when he was introduced because like he's, you know, Gus Fring, like he's like this amazing actor.
He always plays the villain.
Yeah,
now ever since
he was even in Revolution, right? He was in
Revolution. Yeah, he was in Revolution. He was one of the main villains in Revolution.
So I was super excited, but then I kind of remember feeling a little bit let down by his appearance in season 2, just because I felt like I wanted more from him than what we ended up getting. But then this season is like, okay, we got like the Giancarlo Esposito that I was expecting.
Yes. He's a businessman. He's an arms dealer, and I love to see it.
Yeah, it was just like watching him just like putting Homelander in his place, talking with so much like defiance and authority to Homelander. It was incredible. Like this is the character that I wanted to see, and I'm glad we're getting him in full force this season. I loved it. I loved it.
Sorry, now that you brought up businessman, do you ever find it interesting that it's always these sort of like businessmen that are not afraid to stand up to these like superhero powers? Like you have Lex Luthor and Superman, or even well, to be fair, he's not really a businessman, but he kind of comes out of a businessman with what's it called, an Invincible with dang it, now I'm forgetting his name.
Oh, I know who you're
The
talking
long-haired
about.
guy,
Kind of long hairish. I mean,
the white-haired guy.
white hair guy, that
Who
guy.
works for the government.
Government, yeah. It's like it's always those kinds of people who it's like
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people. Well, definitely Lex Luthor's a good comparison because he is a businessman, but it's like also he's like an egomaniac, right? Like, and I think Stan Edgar is too, right? Like, it's huge inflated ego, money is power, right? Like
Yeah.
he's defining what power is, and it's people with that confidence do go very far in life, so it doesn't surprise me that some like a personality as big as that is in a place of power like that. So I kind of want to see like some background on him, see how he got there though, because that he's
Yeah,
an
we got a
interesting
little bit
character.
of a glimpse of that with the
yeah, it's this
flash.
flashback.
Flashback.
Yeah, I know
whoever
we're gonna
was
get, yeah.
whoever was the actor who played his young self, he did a good job. I was like, wow, that kind of does sound like that. Like he even did the mannerisms. He
Yeah.
will not go by this way, and I'm like, Jesus, he did really good.
That guy watched Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he
But,
did.
Yeah, even Mallory's young self was pretty good. Like some
Mm-hmm.
of her inflections and the way she talked was very similar to Mallory.
Yeah.
So yeah, good casting on that part.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anybody else feel like the kid that they cast for Ryan reminded me of like a young Clark Kent from Man of Steel? Like it kind of reminds me of that actor. Like it kind of looks like him. I don't know. Maybe that was
mean,
just me.
I'm sure, like, they want to make him look like a corn-fed farm boy to kind
Yeah.
of. It
Like,
is. Oh well, that is a good parallel because
Uh-huh.
it's all about like who raises you and your parents, and if you're nurtured, like you'll probably be a good person. I mean, that's what happened with Clark Kent.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fingers
I was
crossed
just
they do it right with him.
seeing that. Yeah. Oh, one other thing with Eric Kripke, he's like bringing back all of his supernatural people, and Bobby is the presidential candidate.
Yeah, well, Bobby's been in this series
He was there
since
last
season
season.
1. He was
Was
in the
he?
series
I
since
don't-
season 1. He was in season
Yeah.
1.
He was in season. Okay.
He was in
Oh,
season
last-
1. Don't worry, don't
Definitely.
worry. Although the fact his name is Robert Singer is pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
Robert.
Robert
That's
Singer
funny.
is very
Oh my God.
because the whole point of Bobby is that he's named after Robert Singer. So he's
yeah.
basically Bobby in both worlds. So
That's funny.
Ooh, parallel
funny.
universe. It's a multiverse.
it's a
Ooh.
multiverse. So
Oh my gosh, boys multiverse.
boys multiverse.
Now we just need to get
Why not?
Castiel and
We need Sam. Forget
and
Castiel.
Sam.
Do we need
both
them?
of them. We don't need them, but to complete the.
The less it is
I think we need
supernatural,
Sam.
maybe the better. I don't know.
I think Sam. I think that we need Sam at least. I think Sam is something.
We
Important.
need Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Ooh, I'd be up for any.
Yeah,
of
that's
those.
true. That's true.
I'd be
That's
up for
true.
any of
Jeffrey
those.
Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
but any
excited.
last thoughts?
I don't know. I'm just excited to see more.
Yeah. How many episodes?
There's not much more to say.
Is this season gonna have?
It's gonna be 8 episodes of each season. So
All right.
Uh,
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. 8 episodes. They've all been like an hour. At least these first 3 have been an hour. So I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah.
Same.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I guess that was our review for at least the first 3 episodes of season 3 of The Boys. Let us know your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.